Hello everyone. We welcome you for the faculty development program on nuances in research writing. And this is the first day, and in this day we are going to look after the basics of research writing. And for the first talk, we are going to look after an insight in research writing. And in this talk, we are going to see about what is the need for research writing, why do we practice research writing, and we also look after the process of research writing, and at last we will be looking after the hypothesis which is to be formed for doing good research. And hopefully for the next 1 hour we will be speaking about all these things, and I wish you to be very keen in observation as well as looking after these things, because after finishing this video we'll be having a MCQ session, and that MCQ will be with a time frame. So I have to finish the MCQ on time. Apart from that, an assignment will also be given, which is a part of this video lecture, and you have to do this assignment as a part of the curriculum. And first, let's look after the research writing. What is a research writing? It's a combination of two words, research and writing. Research is just a mental process of deriving answers for a problem or a question that is raised in the society. Whatever the problem that may be in the society, if you are finding out a solution, then you are doing some research. But when you need to communicate the findings that you have framed, then you have to put it in black and white. Scripting of this research findings is the writing of research. Then it's research writing. Maybe you may be writing a thesis or a workbook. Sometimes PG students and the undergraduate students, they used to go for writing their record notebooks. That itself is a research writing. That is the basic first level research writing that we do in our curriculum. So at first we start with this record notebook work. We record all the methodologies, we record the aim, the process, the requirements, and we also come out with some interpretations and inferences. And from that we go on proceeding with the research, and one day if we come out with a very good outlook, then we can publish it as an article. The article has a specific format, but you are doing more research, you can be awarded with a degree. At the part of a degree, you may be writing your thesis. All these things comes under the research writing. Getting deeper into the research writing, what we are actually doing. While you are writing your research, you are sharing your answer. When you found out something and you are keeping it within yourself, what is the use of it? Have to share the research. So research writing is mainly about sharing the research findings that you have already framed. And every finding that you have done should be with an evidence. If there is no evidence, or if there is no such thing as evidence in your research, then the research that you have done would go on vain. It cannot be counted as a serious thing that you have done. So every research should be done with some part of evidence, and writing should reflect this one. And also we have to be very cautious with the sources. These days we are speaking about plagiarism and all, and so it is very important for us to look at the sources of that. Research, the terminology itself is research. You are researching something. It's nothing about framing something from the scratch. Already some people would have done a start of the research and you are proceeding with that. So sources are very important. What sources you are referring? And every time when you are writing something in the research, you have to cite the sources, and that is very important for us. Without citing of a research, you cannot come out with a valuable outlook. In newspapers you may find something, people have not cited anything. That is a different story. We are not writing any article or an essay for a newspaper. This research article writing is something very different. It needs also citations to be given promptly and precisely. But also, you must be coming out with some explanation. When you are writing a newspaper article doesn't need any evidence. Sometimes there is no need for an explanation. They finish the article with some question, making you to find the answer by yourself. But in case of a research, it is not like that. Have to frame the answer. People need some amount of knowledge from your mouth. So reasoning and explanation is very important for us. And the whole concept is fashioned on the toppings of this reasoning and explanation that we do. And to put in short, research writing is the process of sharing answer along with the evidence and on the basis of the sources that we have referred, and putting in short with the reasoning and explanation. And why do we need this research? Why do we practice this research writing? Why can't I keep my research within myself? The very word that we are seeing is publish or perish. It's a big threat for us. When you look at the world nowadays, people are forced to do some research. Every one of us, we are finding out something. And if you keep your research within yourself, it's of no use. And that too, for a professor or a person who is having elite knowledge in a subject, if you are keeping your knowledge within yourself, it's of no use. And government is making many plans to make you to publish your research. And one such thing that the world has organized is publish or perish. Either you have to publish your findings or to perish. For a person who is good at knowledge, for a professor who is working in a college or a university, having some amount of knowledge within himself, if it's draining out within him, what is the use of it? So they have to come out with a publication. And well, nowadays in India, we might be seeing about NAC and all, and they are asking for our publication, and we are in a situation to show our publication without fail. Without publication, you cannot thrive for your excellence inside your college. One day or other, they will kick you out of the place. So publish or perish is a demand that is created in this world. You see, not only this, not only a threat which is behind this, people are united out of it. When some people are having similar amount of knowledge, when they do similar type of research, they can be associated, whoever they may be. One may be in the west, another may be in the east, and one may be in the north, and other may be in the south. All those people could be united in one ring, that is research writing. Because of the research that they have written and it is published, it's possible for anybody to unite themselves. And also it unites disciplines. Vast majority of disciplines are there in this world now. We combine informatics with biology, we combine technology with biology, we combine chemistry with physics, physics with biology, chemistry with biology, and also mathematics and any other subject of thought could be joined together and do a research. Only thing is that a serious outlook toward a problem of discrimination is important. For all those who are having common ideology, they could join. And the other important thing is that career advancement is very much outspoken these days. We are in need of going behind the API scores. For us to go up and up in our career, we need to show the research articles. Research articles, they are of good impact, and that is being asked from the government. Career advancement schemes are proposed on the basis of the development and the writing skills that we have. And also, it's very important for us to look at the cultures and the countries. Various cultures and countries are different, and when we do a same research, it could be beyond those things. The social stigma could be moved out because we are united on a same ring research. And while you are doing research, it could be possible for you to cross these type of barriers. You publish a very good article, and people from Iran, people from China, people from US, they call you out to come and speak about the topic that you have done. So this kind of things would be possible for you. While you are here, how come it is possible for a university from US to just phone and call you for giving a research? It's possible if you have done a very good research. If your article is speaking well, then definitely you will get an email communication or a call from the people who are organizing conferences. Most of the conferences which are organized in the world, they seek resource persons from the research articles. This is very important for us. Most of us, we are thinking that it's that because they are calling out due to the uh, due to the popularity or due to the name getting viral. It's not like that. It's because of the research articles which were published by these personalities, and to tell to others, it's very important. If you are having something within yourself and not explaining it to others, what's the use of it? And if I have to start the research and finding out the same after some 5 years of time, I'm wasting my time and knowledge because it has been already done by you. If it's not communicated, then it's getting vain, and the whole output that you have formulated out of the research done for 5 years or 10 years, it's becoming waste. And this is very important for us to consider. What we are actually doing, we are doing some scientific reporting work. It's not an essay writing competition, or it's not something that we are doing for the sake of doing. It's a scientific report formulation. And in the scientific report formulations, we always get some recognition. Recognition is a key word that we are speaking here. And in the next few moments, for the next few moments, we'll be speaking about the recognition for our work. And more to that, we are getting some peer recognition. Peer recognition, recognition of the same subject fellows or people, those who are doing some same type of work. So recognition in the global audience of peers is very important for us. If we are doing some work in biology or biotechnology or a school of thought, and people those who are in the same school of thought should recognize us. If they are not recognizing, then the whole concept of learning that we are doing would go on vain. So these scientific reportings would provide us some sort of recognition in the society, which may give some recognition at a workplace, and it enhances the reputation. See, in our workplace and also in the research community and the worldwide, our reputation is getting enhanced, and it's more pronounced now, and also promotion prospects are possible. We could be promoted to the next level officer. Sometimes better opportunity may knock the door. You may be working in a college, you may go to an university, you may be working in a state university, you may get into the central university, you may be getting into some boards which are there in the government, and to some foreign universities. It's possible for you to go and enhance the possibilities that you have. Career prospects could come for those who are doing post graduation or doctorate degree, or if you are indulged in doing post doctoral degrees, then it's possible for you to get a good career if your research writing goes on good. So good job is possible if you are doing it. And then it's very important that peer recognition is one important thing that we have to think about. When peers are recognizing you, then your quality will be enhanced. You will get a very good reputation, and an external esteem would be possible for you. And in the research caliber, if you are increasing due to the publications, you can play the international level, not in the national level. If you are there in your city and even not popular inside your college, what you are doing then, if you write good, then you can move to the countries, speak about your research to variety of peoples, and it is possible for you to share your knowledge among the big crowd. High quality comes, it's from the research writing process. Maybe your research data is good, but if you are not writing good, then it's not possible for you to communicate the people. Then other credits are also there for us, and it's very important that our research should be in a discoverable form. Discoverability is very much important, and it's much pronounced, and our recognition should come out with an awareness. It should be accessible, and also it should be with some technology oriented. It also provides some expert service availability. With all these things, it's possible for you to come out with a very good research writing. And also, when you are looking at it, it's very difficult to reach the public than the peers. The people in the community of research, same community of research, they could recognize you. They could look at you as a big giant who is doing research in this field. But those people outside this ring, they cannot understand who you are. When your research is not entering into the public, what is the use of it? You have to communicate to the public too. So a research article should be reduced to essays, and it should be published in the newspapers, magazines, and variety of other things, blogs, and many other things. Why? It's because it should reach the public. So what is needed here then? When you are doing this, wide audience could recognize you. So the research writing that you are doing should be of high quality. It should provoke the application of your research and should also be published in a very high impact journal, should be having good abstractings. See, the abstract that you are writing could be disseminated to various abstracting services and press releases. And in all the press releases, your name, your college, and the type of research that you are doing will be expressed. So these abstracting services will take you to the wider audience crowd, and at last your article will also be indexed. See, the indexing of articles is very important. If your article is published in a journal and not getting indexed, then your recognition is being stopped. We'll be studying about this uh, in the third day, I hope, because it's level 1 program, and in the first day now we are speaking about the need for the research, and when we are moving we shall learn about all indexing and other things. See, publish and perish is also a threat, but for NAC most of the people are publishing, but for career advancement schemes most of the people are publishing. That is also something which is very pronouncing. But widely speaking, and not limited to this thought, research article writing is also a difficult process. There are so many hindrances that we face. There are some political stigma that we cannot even speak in the public, which reduces the art of research writing. There are so many things which are there in the workplace we work with. See, for example, technical expertise is a very important one. Most of the people are not good in English. It's not our native language. So we won't speak it and write in English well. So technical expertise is needed for us in terms of language, in terms of sophistication of instruments, in terms of scientific knowledge. We need some technical expertise. Concise writing is one another skill that we have to develop. See, for example, when you are writing something, you may be writing for pages and pages, but no one would read. If no one is reading it, or if it's not interesting, people could not get into that thought or never recognize your research writing. So concise writing is very much needed for us. And poor knowledge of the research thought for a researcher who begins their research, it's very important for them to update themselves in this field. If they are writing something wrong out of the mere perception that they have, it's not going to be something well pronounced. So poor research knowledge is one aspect which hinders the research writing. Poor research knowledge would come out with pseudo-scientific research articles, and it becomes something which is very a scam. Sometimes the spoofing of researchers would also be possible. And poor language skills, they hinder their writing, and the protagonist of a person could not be shown, even though they are a great researcher or a good one who could do good researches and come out with a valuable data. They cannot communicate. Yes, of course, while you are writing it, we have done something very good, but it was an essay. It was not a research article. See, this is a plain text which is not containing any regional perspective. It's not containing any scientific name. It's not with any data, not with any reference citation, not with any figure citation or anything. It's plain information. That was also right, but for a research community to recognize you, it's not at all possible for us to go with. And research writing is very important. Research writing always comes with evidence based. Evidence should be shown, and it should be statistically robust. Every time you have to speak about percentage, have to speak about mean, slope, have to speak about correlation. That statistics would make you a very serious researcher. You might have done something very good, But if you are not presenting it in this terms to the scientific community, science has a image problem. Science has a specific way of context that you have to speak about. If you are not with them, then they could not recognize it. It has some certain methodologies for us to go with. And it's not like writing an essay. It should be with well-defined results, and discussions are very important. In the next day, we will be speaking about discussion. See, one man cannot discuss. Have to quote and cite many authors who have done similar type of research in the area that you have taken into consideration, and it should be scientifically repeatable. It's very important while you are writing something. If it cannot be repeated, cannot be presented to the scientific community. And what are the things that we have to avoid while we are doing research writing? Have to avoid exaggeration. Most people, they do exaggeration. They find out a little and they write big, and that is not at all needed. What you find should be written in simple terms. That's needed. And anecdotes, using of anecdotes, conjecture, and all these are not needed. And you avoid jargons. If you are using jargons, scientific community will be irritated. Assumptions, most people, they poke their nose into the research and they do some assumptions. Let the reader do all these assumptions. You don't do that. The author should not give out any assumption. It should be plain in its script. Everything that you are writing should be plain, should be simple, should be direct. It should not be with any conjecture. Should not be having any anecdotes. Should not be like a story. Should not be like something which is having overinflated informations. It should be very clean and precise, and that is very much needed for us. See, what are things that we have to look at when you are doing a research writing? First, you should be with an observation of phenomenon that you are doing. A research writing should be having a research hypothesis, and it should state the predictions and the experimentation that they have done. Also, it should be with a conclusion, and with all these things, you can formulate a research article. Simple is better is the only slogan that you should be having in this type. And these are the serial things that we have to do while we are writing a research article. The first one is have to choose a topic first and find some information in the research related journals where other researchers will have published already. Literature review is very important. You might have a topic, you might have a problem in your mind now, but when you are not getting into the research articles which has been previously published, then might be repeating the research once again, which somebody has already done. So finding information is very important. Extensive finding of information is needed. And then we have to formulate our hypothesis. We'll be studying about how to formulate a research hypothesis now, so it will be easy for you. And then we have to sketch a temporary outline so that it is possible for us to do that. See, sketching a temporary outline before writing a research article is very important. Most people, they brainstorm before they go for research writing. It may be a scribbling, but something that you have known is put into black and white, and it's because it's possible for you to come out with a flow of thought while you are writing something. It's a script, or it's the basic outlook that you have already done, and it will speak with you more studiously than anything else. Not the research article, not the books, not the technologies that you have learned, but the outline that you have drawn out of the research, the scribbled part that you have with yourself. It will speak with you. Have to organize the thoughts before you're going for writing it. At the first draft, it may not be sounding good. If you read the first draft, you may just throw it away. But it is something which is making you to go up. I have to revise the draft and then have to go for the typing the final draft. And this is the chronology of research writing. These 8 things that we have to do is very important for writing a research article. First, to choose a topic, then to find an information, third, to formulate the hypothesis, fourth, to sketch a temporary outline, and 5, to organize your thoughts, 6, to write your first draft, and 7, to revise your draft, and 8, to formulate the final draft. And revising your draft by yourself may not show you the right possibilities to reduce the research. Sometimes we need to go with peers, or sometimes we need to go with experts. In simple terms, which you are when you are speaking, you need an English expert, a subject level expert, a technical expert, and also a journal editor to make your text valuable. And this is very important for us to take it into consideration. How can we organize a research article? See, organizing a research article is very important. Have to think about the topic for days together. Inside your mind, it should be running every day, whatever the walks of life you may be having. Must be thinking of the topic then and there. And for weeks together and for months together, it should be revolving inside your mind. Have to make the figures and tables then. With all the research that you are doing, with simple progressions, you have to do them. You have to formulate these figures and tables. See, figures and table, they comes out of and they come out of research. But the thing is that how to make a figure is a different art. You may use a bar chart, or you can use a very spider chart, and everything is possible for you. And it should be explainable in simple term, also in a modest way. And making of figures and tables will definitely increase the prospect of your research. And thinking it out loud is very important. Sometimes we are ignoring lot of things. We may be inside a very small ring of knowledge, and making it loud will always be explaining it in a very different angle. Maybe you are not good in grammar, you may not be good in spelling, you may not be good in style, you may not get the word first, and in course of time it's possible for you to come out with everything, and everything comes down at one point. Before that, you have to scribble, make it big, analyze, and then reduce, cut it down, make it as a concise writing. And it's possible for you to restructure and rewrite everything in course of time. And use of good English is very important for us, and that too for non-native speakers, it's very important. It's possible for us to do that with so many techniques that are available now. See, Grammarly is one software, Language Tool is another software, Grammar Checker, and more other softwares are there in the field. You can use one of them for you to check your grammar and spelling. And it's also possible for you to learn it from workbooks. I urge you to go and learn grammar from workbooks. English workbooks are available everywhere. Sometimes it's possible for us to learn from our kids' books too. Let's learn first, and then it's possible for us to write it in a very good manner. Guessing something and writing it with a poor English, and we're finding faults in others, not recognizing us, is not the one which we have to do. We have to learn how to use a good English, and good English will always carry a weightage in this research field. In India, we have no practice of writing in our native language. For example, for a researcher to do a research and getting recognized in Chinese universities, Chinese, they have a different plan. They have to publish one article at least in Chinese language, then it could be recognized. And Japanese, they still publish in Japanese language alone. If they have more articles, they would be allowed to publish in English languages. And that type of practice is there in some countries, but not here in India. So our native language it's not at all recognized. It's of no use now in the sense of research writing. So you have to be an expert in English. There is no other way for you to go. While you are listening to the research articles from India, 92% of research articles are without good English. Only 8% they are with valid English. So we have to be very serious while we are thinking about all these things. It's also having a pride. It's also having something that you are doing good. When you are writing something bad, it's an unvaluable thing to the whole nation. And I have been telling you this, avoid jargon, from the first. It's because science has an image problem. No phrase or idiom can explain your work. It's the simple terminologies that can do this. And don't hide anything behind these idioms and phrases. And most people, they cannot write it in a plain English. It's because they might have read so many novels and stories. For those who are very much interested in literature, they do this. They start hiding the terminologies behind this jargon. It's actually not a good practice for us to go with. Use simple language and a positive outlook. Whatever the negative results you may be getting, you can present it in a positive way. It's possible for you to do that. Simplify your language, and that is very important. See, this is the original outlook that we have seen. The first one is original and the second one is suggested. This fellow is writing from 4 or 5 lines, but it's possible for us to reduce it in 2 to 3 lines. And making the writing simple may make you to write good article. If you are making it too much complex, then it's not possible for you to do good. Avoid long sentences. If you are using some direct and precise sentence, that would be very good, and short sentences are always preferred. When you are making long sentences, you may be thinking that you are writing something professional, but it's actually not. You are confusing the readers. And most people I have seen from some countries, which I don't name, they don't even use the punctuation marks. They don't use comma, they don't use full stop, and some languages they confuse between comma and full stop. But for those people who come from French speaking countries, in French they use comma instead of full stop, and so they use this full comma in English wherever a full stop has to be placed, and such confusions are there. If they are doing this, it becomes very long. The sentences are very long, and until a paragraph, you don't have this the a full stop, and it becomes very confusing for us to read. See, a scientific writing should be with a line which is comprised of 12 to 17 words. 17 words is maximum. Don't ever go for doing it. 3 words are enough. And you can go with 12 words, 10 to 12 words is good. In one breath, you can read only one sentence, and that is very important. And reading a long sentence may choke the reader. They have to breathe in between, and while you are breathing, you can skip something in your mind. And your mind is like a monkey, it's moving from one place to another. Always it's impossible for you to have long sentences inside your mind. And there are many problems with the long sentences. Speaking in terms of English, we use some passive voice. And in some cases, while you are using passive voices, we place the subject as an object. And in terms, some subject which is not moving could be written as it runs. And this type of problem may arise. Instead of making the researchers to just understand it, we may confuse them. And poor sentence structure would be possible. Incorrect conjunctions, we use so many because, but, and, or, which confuse the readers as well as make it fussy, which is impossible for us to even understand what this fellow is going to tell. And if you are using subordinate classes to a great extent, then it's not going to be very much valuable. You are writing, go on writing, continuing the text, but the reader might have missed the meaning of the sentence. The last line that he has read alone would be there in his mind, and that is very important. And parallelism is one another thing that we are doing while we are writing the long sentences. When you are connecting a word with and comparing it with one sentence to the other, or using or otherwise, you are making some comparisons. But these parallelisms could be broken down into simple sentences and can be legitimately explained to the readers. And avoiding of redundancies is very important. See, if you have redundance in your text, it's not at all needed for us. See, making a redundant text is not good. And if you are overusing these conjunctions, usually redundancies would come. We would be speaking about the same thing with such words like moreover, however, this is, moreover, this is, perhaps. All these things would make you to speak about the redundance. Redundance is repeating it once again. And phrases, some phrases if you are using without any meaning, and that will always shred the meaning of the sentences that we are having. For example, oftentimes if you are speaking about in this paper, or in the paper which has been presented, in the study that was conducted. What is needed? You directly come into the study, directly come into the data. And repetitive words like research work, schematic diagram, scheme, this research was conducted, that are all not needed. And also some people, while they are writing about the scientific terminologies, every paragraph they write the scientific name. Every time when they are speaking about the plant or the animal, they used to write the name. It's actually not needed. You do that first once and use it or some other words which can designate them. And the next important thought we have to do with it, say if there is a long process, you can shred it down as an acronym and use the acronym. Give the acronym in the abbreviation list, and that could be published separately below the abstract. And other things we need to be conscious is using of passive voice. See, for example, when you are converting the sentences in passive voices, we may shred the meaning altogether, and we may not be using many things directly correctly with the help of passive voices. So always it should be in a precise form. And in some cases, when you are doing something with a class or with a plural objects, you may be changing the context. You may be speaking something which is outspoken. And always don't use abbreviations. Abbreviations of one or two types is okay. But if you are using too many abbreviations, it may shred the meaning of the research article. People may not be understanding the concept clearly. For example, if NKT and PKT are joined, what would people think about it? They cannot be able to guess what it is. So things are becoming crazy if you are doing like this, and they move out of the text, move out of the concept once if you are doing all these things. Also, we should not start a sentence with a number. When you are starting a sentence with a number, it's not acceptable in a research article. A one-digit number should not be used within the sentence too. For example, 5 people has done this. FIV should be used. To start with the sentence, you should not use numerical 5. On the same text, this research was conducted with 5 people. 5, numerical 5 should not be used. And these are things which has to be taken into consideration to a great extent. And single digit numbers, it should not be placed in between the text even. If it is a double digit number, then you can place the double digit number within the text. Framing of hypothesis is very important, because hypothesis is an intelligent guess or a prediction which may direct the researcher to have a research question. And a hypothesis will always give a tentative statement of what the researcher is going to do. Successful researchers, they used to get this hypothesis first, and for non-successful researchers, they may be successful sometimes without framing a hypothesis, but not all times. So a serious researcher should always come out with a hypothesis, and that is very important for us. And a hypothesis is of different types. Hypothesis of difference. See, for example, you may be taking two important contrasting things and you are making assertions out of it. A and B are entirely different. You come out with a hypothesis of different. And hypothesis of association. You may be coming out something. A is not B, but A is associated with B for forming C. And this type of things could be done. And null hypothesis, you might be thinking that A and B are associated, but at some point you may come that A and B are not associated. So no way it is connected to that. You can frame this null hypothesis. And at last, you can also go with an alternative hypothesis. An alternative hypothesis is something which is more used here. And in types of research where we are doing, for example, if we take a survey on school kids who are eating chocolates. Chocolates is something very common with our school kids. In Tamil Nadu, most of the children, they eat chocolates at school. So a survey is conducted, and out of the survey that has been conducted, we come to a conclusion that chocolate is the reason for the dental caries. If you are doing this, dental caries is something far away from this chocolate. But out of it, dental caries has come is a prediction that you are making. It's an alternative hypothesis. It's entirely different. And developing a hypothesis out of the research question is very important. See, we always have research questions in our mind, and in common sense, we ask what, why, how, what if, all these questions. See, what is a common question that we ask? How is a question which is asked by scientists? That is why they poke into it and find out how it is working. And what if is a question which is asked by innovators. And if they do this, it comes out with a hypothesis. See, we make that what, why questions in introduction. We develop a theory out of the research questions we do, and we formulate an answer out of the research and we place it in the introduction here. And we identify the variables and identify the hypothesis, make the answers for those out of the methodologies that we predict. We test the hypothesis, we come out with a valuable analysis and the data, and we predict something very good, so we write it in the result. And in the discussion, we compare it with the other people, those who have done on the same area, and it comes out with a critical review of all these things, and at last we frame a conclusion. And this formulates the research article to a great extent. This is a hard glass notion of the research, and very important to that is framing a hypothesis. We have to begin with a broad question. Beginning with a broad question is very important, and then we have to narrow down the focus, shredding down all these things, trimming the edges, have to narrow it down, and then we have to operationalize. It's because we have to put a methodology first, and then we have to go on sneaking into it. And when you are poking into that, you can observe some differences, can analyze the data that you have obtained, and then a conclusion could be reached. And back to the questions, you can frame the ideologies with a beautiful discussion. You can come out with a writing, and this is the outlook of the research that we do. While you are asking a question, you come out with a background research, then you have to construct a hypothesis, have to test the hypothesis with an experiment. If the procedure is working, then you can go for analyzing the data and formulation of the conclusions. Then this conclusion formulation can be put down to a script writing. Then the script could be developed into a research article. If it's not working, then you have to once again go for the testing with another experimentation, another type of methodology that you can adopt. If your hypothesis is not proving good, then you have to change the hypothesis once again and to go with that in a serious manner. So this is the quick review of the lessons we have learned today. The first, we have seen what is a research article, what is a research writing, why do we need research writing then. And we have seen that research writing is needed for our recognition. It's a compulsion now, publish or perish, and also it disseminates your research to variety of people. And then we have learned about how to do research writing with the 5 C's which we have seen, with the style of research, with the differences between a story as well as a research article, and then the English for research article and all. And 4, we have come out with how to formulate a research hypothesis. And in the research hypothesis, we have seen the types of research hypothesis, definition for research hypothesis, hard glass model for the research, but also for the schema of research progression. And see, this day we have come out with a level 1 progress. We started with the scratch of what research writing is all about, and then come to the progress of research writing. And next day, and that is tomorrow, we'll be studying about the parts of a research article. Don't miss that session. We have many interesting things for us to learn there, and it's very important too. And in the third day, we'll be speaking about some copyright issues, intellectual property rights, plagiarism, and paraphrasing, etc. And in the fourth day, we have a very different session. Go through the videos serially and find out that it is good for you and for your research. Also, don't forget to do the assignments. It has a time limit, and that is very important for us. And MCQs are also there. Have to do the MCQs, and while you are finishing the MCQs, you'll be getting once again a link for doing the feedback. The feedback is very important for us. You can tell us anything. You can ask us to improve. You can appreciate us. You can degrade us. Whatever you wish, you can do. And the things that you are doing may increase us, may improve us. And that is very important. And feedback, MCQs, and assignments are very important for this course. We'll be analyzing and giving you marks on the basis of it. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you. Start your research writing. Get into a topic. Think about it for weeks together. Do a background research, search for the literature elsewhere, and then it is possible for you to come out with a knowledge, formulate a methodology, start with your research work, analyze the data, come out with the data, do some figures and tables, and sketch it out. Sketch it in simple terminologies, make an outline, scratch it out everything, and at last you can formulate a research article with a standard outlook, and that is the need for this hour. Thank you for listening to us.